Hi, welcome to Future Technos. In today's video, we are going to talk about two incredible cameras from Nikon, the Z8 and the Z7 II. This comparison has been highly requested and for good reason. Both cameras are powerful, both are capable of delivering outstanding image quality, and both appeal to serious photographers. But the question many people have is simple. Which one should you choose? The Nikon Z7 II has been around for a while now and has earned a reputation as a reliable, lightweight, and affordable option for photographers who value image quality above all else. The Nikon Z8, on the other hand, is newer, heavier, more expensive, and comes packed with advanced features. On paper, they share some similarities, but in the real world, the experience of using them can be very different. When the Z8 was first launched, my initial impressions were not very positive. Nikon loaned me a unit, but the way I got to use it was far from ideal. I was given the camera for just one morning, with a Nikon representative accompanying me the whole time. I had no chance to prepare, no chance to plan a shoot, and no real understanding of the camera's potential. That morning was cold, gray, and uninspiring, and as a result, my first experience with the Z8 felt flat. I came away thinking that the Z7 II was still the smarter choice. After all, both cameras share the same resolution, and the Z7 II was cheaper, smaller, and lighter. At that time, I concluded that the Z7 II made more sense for most people. But everything changed when I got the chance to properly use the Z8 in real-world situations. I spent nearly 2 weeks on a ship in the Arctic, photographing landscapes, wildlife, and everything in between. It was a demanding trip with challenging weather, long hours, and plenty of opportunities to push the camera to its limits. It was during this experience that I realized just how capable the Z8 really is. It wasn't one single feature that won me over. Instead, it was the combination of many small improvements that, when added together, made a big difference. Now, before I explain why the Z8 changed my mind, I want to make something clear. The Nikon Z7 II is still an amazing camera. For photographers who mainly shoot landscapes, portraits, or anything that doesn't require advanced autofocus or high-speed performance, the Z7 II remains one of the best options on the market. It delivers stunning image quality with rich detail and dynamic range that matches the Z8. It is smaller, lighter, and more affordable, especially now that many secondhand units are becoming available. If you're a Z7 II owner, you should not feel that your camera is suddenly outdated. It is still a phenomenal tool, and in some cases, it might even be the smarter choice. But for me, after my time with the Z8, I realized that it suits my needs better. Let's start with one of the most practical features, the sensor shield. When you switch lenses on the Z8, a protective curtain covers the sensor. This may seem like a small detail, but when you are shooting in harsh environments with dust, sea spray, or rain, it makes a huge difference. On my Arctic trip, I was changing lenses constantly, often in windy and wet conditions, and not once did I have to worry about cleaning the sensor. With the Z7 II, sensor dust was always in the back of my mind. With the Z8, I had peace of mind, and that allowed me to focus fully on capturing the moment. Another area where the Z8 shines is autofocus. The autofocus system on the Z7 II is good, but it can sometimes struggle in low light or when tracking fast-moving subjects. It works most of the time, but there are moments when it can miss, and when you're photographing wildlife or fleeting action, that can be frustrating. The Z8, on the other hand, offers outstanding autofocus performance. On my trip, I used 3D tracking with animal detection, and it locked onto subjects with confidence. Whether I was photographing polar bears on the ice, walrus resting on the shore, or birds in flight, the autofocus rarely missed. Even in low light, it remained reliable. For landscape work, it was equally accurate, especially when using focus stacking. I no longer had to second-guess whether the focus point was correct, which saved me time and stress. Customization is another big advantage of the Z8. I set mine up so that it defaulted to what I call landscape mode, with ISO 64, f11, and a shutter speed of 1/252nd, plus a 2-second timer. That was my standard setup for most landscape shots. But with just one press of a custom button, I could instantly switch to a completely different setup optimized for wildlife. Auto ISO, a minimum shutter speed of 1/1000nd, wide open aperture, fast burst mode, and animal tracking autofocus. That ability to switch from landscapes to wildlife in an instant was a game changer. Imagine photographing a peaceful glacier, and suddenly a seal pops out of the water. With the Z8, I could react immediately without digging through menus or wasting precious seconds. The Z8 also offers other small but useful upgrades. The fully articulating screen makes it easier to compose shots from difficult angles, The build quality feels solid and reliable, which is important when you're in tough conditions. The camera feels like a true all-rounder. The Z7 II, by comparison, is excellent for landscapes and controlled situations, but less flexible when it comes to fast action or unpredictable shooting. Of course, the Z8 is not perfect. It is heavier than the Z7 II by around 200 grams, which doesn't sound like much, but you feel it when hiking long distances or carrying gear for hours. It also consumes more battery power, especially when using advanced features like continuous autofocus, burst shooting, or animal tracking. On my trip, I sometimes struggled to make a single battery last an entire day. With the Z7 II, I could confidently go on multi-day landscape trips with just one battery. With the Z8, you need to carry spares. And then, of course, there's the price. The Z8 costs significantly more than the Z7 II, so it's not a decision to make lightly. For some photographers, the added features are worth it. For others, the Z7 II may still be the more practical choice. One area I haven't talked about much yet is video. I usually keep my video and photography gear separate, but with the Z8, I found myself using its video features more than expected. On trips, it was convenient to capture short video clips of wildlife and landscapes without switching to a dedicated video camera. The Z8 can record 4K video with excellent quality, and while I didn't fully optimize the settings at first, I quickly realized the importance of using a flat profile for better flexibility in editing. For photographers who also dabble in video, the Z8 offers a strong hybrid option. Looking back at my experiences in Iceland and Svalbard, I can say with confidence that the Z8 proved itself as a reliable companion. Whether I was shooting Arctic foxes, walrus, polar bears, or dramatic icy landscapes, it delivered consistently. It gave me speed, flexibility, and confidence. And even though I feel like I haven't yet used all of its features to their fullest, I know that the potential is there. Nikon will likely release firmware updates in the future, adding even more refinements, and that makes the Z8 feel like a camera that will only get better over time. So who should buy which camera? If you are mainly focused on landscapes, portraits, or studio work and you want the best value for your money, the Nikon Z7 II is still an excellent choice. It offers incredible image quality, lighter weight, and a lower price, making it a smart buy even today. But if you need an all-rounder that can handle everything from landscapes to wildlife to video, and you don't mind the extra weight or cost, the Z8 is hard to beat. It combines the best of Nikon's technology in a package that feels ready for almost anything. In the end, both cameras are outstanding tools. The decision comes down to your style, your priorities, and your budget. For me personally, after using the Z8 properly on demanding trips, I decided to buy it. The combination of features, reliability, and flexibility makes it worth the upgrade for my work. But that doesn't take anything away from the Z7 II, which remains one of the best value cameras available.
Hi,